praises shall continually be in my mouth. A blessed good morning, honorable members, and those under the sound of my voice. Today in our Moments of Impact Reflection segment, I will continue sharing from the leadership series, Becoming a Better Leader. So far in this series, we have reflected on the key words long-suffering, empathy, and action. In today's reflection for part 4, I want to focus on the key word discipline. To become a leader, you must be a person of discipline. Discipline is the practice of training yourself to follow rules, build good habits, and maintain self-control. A leader who is disciplined is a leader who follows rules, has good habits, and has self-control. On the other hand, a leader who has no discipline is one who does not follow rules, has bad habits, and has no self-control. Simply put, a leader with no discipline is a leader that can't be trusted. As Proverbs chapter 25 verse 28 states, a man without self-control is like a city broken into and left without walls. The lesson from this scripture is when you have no discipline, you are unrestrained and expose yourself to all manner of evil and mischief. There are 3 areas I want to submit to you today that every leader should be disciplined in. Firstly, in the area of communication, there are certain things you should not say as a leader, especially in this honorable house, which is supposed to be a place of honor. Even if you think it, don't say it. Once it comes out of your mouth, it's on the record. And what you give to the world, you can't take back. Proverbs chapter 12 verse 18 says, the words of the reckless pierce like swords, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. Secondly, your conduct. There are certain things you should not do or get involved with as a leader. This area requires discipline. Sadly, many leaders lack discipline in the area of their conduct and find themselves in compromised positions. Leaders must always remember, it only takes one misstep with your conduct to destroy your legacy. Galatians chapter 6 verse 7 says, be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, so shall he reap. The third area leaders must be disciplined in. The first is in communication. The second is in their conduct. And third but not least, in the area of your composure. Ecclesiastes chapter 10 verse 4 is a powerful scripture. And here's what it says. If the ruler's tempers rise against you, do not abandon your position, because composure allays great offenses. This scripture teaches us that as leaders, we should never allow anyone to have the privilege to press our proverbial button and cause us to lose our calm and to lose the control of ourselves. Truthfully, no one deserves that level of power over you. This scripture admonishes us to maintain our position of calm, because calmness puts anger to rest. In conclusion, I want to encourage each of you to take the importance of discipline in your leadership very serious. Because listen to this, the cost of discipline is always less than the cost of a lack of discipline. And I think that is worth saying again. I want to encourage each of you, and I'm speaking to myself, as leaders to understand the importance of discipline. Because the cost of discipline is always less than the cost of a lack of discipline. I leave you with these 2 final thoughts today. And the first is a Chinese maxim that says, who can govern himself is fit to govern the world. And secondly, a quote by Jim Rohn which says, discipline is the foundation upon which all success is built. And a lack of discipline inevitably leads to failure. Selah, think and act on these things. Dear Heavenly Father, you are the giver and the source of life. And today we pause to praise and exalt your name for your excellent goodness towards mankind. We praise you this day for your mighty acts. We declare this day that you are great and you are worthy to be praised. Sovereign God, we've come one more time to trouble the throne on behalf of our nation. We are in constant need of your protective care and your guidance. Oh Lord, today as a nation we say, lead us. We say, guide us. In times like these, we need a Savior. In times like these, we need an anchor. In times like these, we ought to be very sure that our anchor grips the solid rock. Almighty God, we pray for our political leaders. We pray for their strength and their focus. Undergird them today with your divine wisdom. And as they conduct today's affairs, let each of them display discipline in the area of communication, in the area of their conduct, and in the area of their composure. Almighty God, bless the proceedings of this honorable house, and let everything be done in decency and in order. Almighty God, make your face to shine upon us and be gracious upon us, even now and forevermore. These things we ask in no other name, but in the mighty name of Jesus. And all of God's people say, Amen. 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 Let us pray the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Good morning, honorable members.
Good morning.
At the suspension, we were debating a compendium of bills. I presume that we are now ready. The chair recognizes the honorable member for Fox Hill.
Madam Speaker, I just wanted to ask this question of the chair. If I showed up in a gold tie in the House of Assembly, would that be appropriate attire for a member of Parliament in this House?
Honorable member, no, it would not.
Madam Speaker,
The chair recognizes the honorable member for
there's
Sinans.
nothing in the rule book that speaks to ties. This was a matter addressed during the last administration when the honorable member for Freetown, former, was in the seat. It did become an issue. Representatives from the current government, well, in the last administration, did wear yellow ties at times. I've worn red ties at times. Men shouldn't be dictated to. Men shouldn't be dictated to on what they can and can't wear, so long as it's within the rules, and there's no note about the color of a man's tie in the rules. So I appreciate if we can keep our attire to the rules and not be so particular with one another. I mean, you even have a member in the gallery right now that's here on a regular basis. He's almost got a better attendance record than some government MPs, and he's wearing a bright yellow tie right now, Madam Speaker. I'm not talking about the younger gentleman in the back, but the man in the front row.
The chair recognizes the honorable member for Fox Hill.
Please. If I decided I wanted to wear a gold tie, you're saying that sorry, I just want to know, is that appropriate attire for a member of Parliament under these rules?
Normally, honorable members, the conduct of all members should be that of morning dress. I know, the morning suit and the morning dress. And I know that we do have a rule in the House that does speak to persons wearing attire that goes towards. But I've seen members on this side wear red, especially the member of St. Anne's. So I'm going to lean the rules and allow members to wear gold. Thank you, honorable members.
Madam Speaker, my recommendation would be that the behavior be consistent on both sides.
Yes.
And the consistent behavior is once we've exited the election season, that we're representing all people, and so all of the constituents, no matter, and therefore having a color other than what is associated with our party would be the better thing going forward. But today, for the member to single out the member for Long Island, knowing full well of what has happened in the last 4.5 years, is just unfair. So we are not disagreeing. I don't disagree with his sentiments, but they're not qualified to raise it. So Madam Speaker, I believe all on our side would be prepared to comport ourselves with colors other than what is associated with our organization. But the government has violated that in the last sitting in the last 4.5 years.
Yes. The chair recognizes the honorable member for Foxhill.
You know, my training tells me to be very careful. First of all, I didn't make any accusation against anyone. I asked a question. Will the rules allow a gold tie to be worn in the House? You've now indicated that that is possible. So I rest my case on the matter. I have nothing more to say. And then, yeah, I mean,
Marco,
that was quite a
member for
sober
Marco, I
reflection.
agree with you. And may I applaud you because you are always properly dressed. You and East Grand Bahama.
Yes, right.
Always properly attired. Always.
Yeah, so,
And I know that there are some members that come in here to press a button.
No tie, Madam Speaker. Look at
What?
Foxfield must not see that.
What?
Eyes only see what my brain wishes to see.
What is he there?
so the second thing I want to say.
What are you talking about?
Elizabeth, Madam Speaker,
I
that color is PLP blue. So it's PLP blue. There's no
Look here.
such thing as
Yeah.
color
Look here.
party affiliation.
This
All
is
parties
this
have
my
blue.
presentation or this
So
your
we don't have
presentation?
it. There's no such thing as PLP blue.
This is my presentation.
Okay? So listen.
This is my presentation,
This is a
man.
non-issue. This is
The honorable member for Marco City put a motion on the floor, and he's indicated to me
he's trying to
that there should be some conduct about it. Sinance,
I'm in my seat.
thanks. You're in your seat, but the speaker is speaking,
Yes.
and I'm indicating that the honorable member for Marco City indicated, and he put a motion that we should follow the morning suit dress, and I agree totally with him. So that is it, and that is all. Okay, thank you. And we will refrain from both sides now having to use gold or red. We will stay with the colors that will adorn. I'm going with the leader of the opposition who indicated to me.
Morning.
Thank you, honorable member. The chair recognizes the honorable member for Pinewood.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I agree with the position of Marco City.
I totally
I
agree.
think that
I think it's a very mature position.
in our constituencies, we represent PLP, FNM, COI, and Independent. I think it's a fair position put by
The
Marco
Commonwealth
City
of the Bahamas.
that Foxhill asks a question in
Thank you.
response, but I
Thank you.
support the position.
Thank you, honorable member. The chair recognizes the
Yeah, I
honorable
got
member
it
for Foxhill.
I got a further point of order, man. This is my speech, man. Say your speech. So my second point is, yesterday I indicated that I read from the act which governs the rules of procedure in here, and it says that how newspapers are supposed to report what you say. I brought to the attention of the newspaper and to the public my difficulty, and I just want to say that this morning there was no mitigation or attempt to mitigate. That in fact they've doubled down on what I think is an alleged contempt. So I'm going to proceed with this. I would say this to the public. This has nothing to do with suppressing anybody's ability to put anything in the public domain. Nothing to do with it. This has to do with protecting the privileges of members of Parliament, including those on the other side. Right, there we go. So I intend to proceed.
Don't do that. Don't start out with that.
Madam,
All you're doing is entertaining folks.
The
Madam,
chair recognizes the honorable,
Yes, sir.
the honorable member for Marco City.
thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
So now tread lightly.
Madam Speaker, with respect to the point made by the member for Fox Hill, he continues to say that what he is advocating, what his side is advocating, is to protect all of us. And in fact, he went further yesterday to say it's also to protect us from ourselves. Madam Speaker, nothing can be a better show of protection for all of us than to get clarity on whether any of us have engaged in unethical or illegal behavior in the precincts of the House. All we have sought to do is to bring this matter to a head so that the Speaker, who is a co-equal with the Prime Minister, that's the head of the executive, would say to the public, we intend to launch a full investigation. The consequences will be severe if they prove to be correct, but to the best of our knowledge, and you could continue it. But what we are saying is that action has not been taken by the head of the executive or the head of the House, and it leaves all of us suspect for what has been alleged by a partner the Minister of Foreign Affairs has trusted for decades, a counterpart in the United States. That's the only point, Madam Speaker.
Executive has done with regard to any of this, so he can't speak for the executive. I don't have no obligation to tell you nothing. Now, what I would say, Madam Speaker, is this. What I would say is this. This is a protection of all members. The place is called the Honorable House of Assembly. So the presumption is everyone is honorable. You have produced nothing, adduced nothing, which rebuts that presumption. So we have to answer nothing. We do have to protect the privileges of members, and that's all this is about. You can talk all the space you want outside here, but you cannot cloak a document which is prejudicial with the authority of this House. That's all it's about. You could go in the rum shop and talk from now until the end of the kingdom come on anything you want to talk about. It's in the public domain, in the newspapers. But to cloak it with the authority and protection and immunities of the House, that's what the issue is. All that it is.
And that's all I'm saying. You know, members, give me a moment. Honorable member.
If I may, just for one moment. Madam Speaker, the member is possibly the longest serving parliamentarian present in the present Parliament, having served in both places. And so, Madam Speaker, he has been in this place when the identical thing was done, where they have submitted documents untested, and again, I never heard him protest that decision. So now we know that this is not a moral position. This is not a matter of principle or following conventions. No, I'm giving you a menu of words. You can select whichever you like. The bottom line is that this is purely political, that he wishes not for us, again, to come to a conclusion on this matter. We need action, Madam Speaker. And action means an investigation. Action means what we are doing today, Madam Speaker, which is filing that complaint with the police, copying the Minister of National Security and the Attorney General that an allegation has been raised that besmirches our reputation in this House. It requires immediate action and investigation, and we are hoping and praying and will bring pressure to make sure that that action is taken.
Honorable members, I remember yesterday, the member for Long Island gave me a quote by former Prime Minister Ewan Ingram. I'm going to say something about the father of the nation. And he said, if Bahamians aren't prepared to stand up and fight for their country, then they don't deserve to have it. I'm not going to sit in this place where I preside from this chair and not protect the hallowed halls of one, this organization, and two, this country. Beyond those lands, I don't know, when I travel around the world, people from Germany, Africa, all over the world say they watch the proceedings of this place. What we give to the world, we cannot take back. So we have to be very careful. All I have indicated from this space in protection of this institution of which I am a part and I revere and love is this. Bring the specifics, the date, the time, the name, the photos, the evidence, the facts, and then we could proceed. But without that, we have what we call a mere allegation. I cannot besmirch the name of this hallowed halls and this country because of an allegation that is now, it's just unfounded until it's proven. And I will not sit here and allow that to happen. I am protecting this institution of which I am in charge of. And so I'm not going to allow anybody to put on the floor of this house something that is at this point a mere allegation. I have indicated to all under the sound of my voice that we do have a legal team that is in place that has been advising me. And when the time is right, or when the time has come for the world to hear from me as the speaker, they will give me that premise that, Madam Speaker, I think you should put out a statement. But until then, I will sit until I get proper advisement and until that time. Okay? So we cannot sit in here, talk about allegations all day, and do not have the specifics to give to the world who's watching us through the lens. If we don't be careful, we're going to be in a place where when we travel, and that's not what we want for our children and our grandchildren, they're going to be shaken down as soon as we land. And Bahamians live all over the world and in different facets, and we have family members who live all over the world, in the United States, the UK, all over the world. And we have to think about that as well when we sit in these chairs and we make accusations and we put things on the floor of this Honorable Assembly. So, and Madam Speaker is not willing to cut off her nose to suit anybody's face. And let me say this to you, sit-ans. I have another rule in this space, and you like to come in here to try to press my buttons. But listen, that's not going to work. It could take at least 100 of you. You know you're not supposed to be in here sipping coffee from this coffee cup. The only thing that is allowed in here is water. And if everybody else can be a conduct of that rule, so can you. So don't do that. Disrespectful. And I'm not going to stand for disrespect. And that's just your first warning. Now, with that being said, the chair recognizes the honorable member. Marco, do you want to say something? Go right ahead.
Madam Speaker, all the things you mentioned, I totally agree with. All that information, the who, the when, the why, the how, all of that, you said to bring that. I would only say finally, it is the investigation that allows you to accomplish that. That's all we are asking.
Well, I have asked you if you are willing, or if your concern is that much, that you go and make a complaint and have the investigation launched. That is what I'm saying. That is what I've said to you.
You do not see that as your responsibility, Madam
I
Speaker?
do not see that as my responsibility at this time, because at this time I only see it as an allegation.
Okay, thank you, Madam Speaker.
And allegations can be deemed true, as well as they can be deemed false. Okay? Now, the chair recognizes the honorable member for Long Island.
Before I take my, before I begin speaking, I'd just like to respond to something you said, Madam Speaker, because unfortunately, I think that you're receiving bad advice from your legal team. And I'll tell you why I say that. You seem to have listened to Fox Hill, who said repeatedly in this place that this is an
Fox Hill is not my
untested-
legal advisor.
Well, it seems as though you are listening to him and taking advice from
I
him.
don't take advice from him.
All right? Madam Speaker, the member for Fox Hill has said repeatedly that this is an untested document. Well, for the information of Fox Hill and for the information of you, Madam Speaker, a grand jury indictment means that it has the document of which we speak has been tested by an impaneled grand jury. It has not, excuse me. It has met the threshold it has met a threshold to be accepted, okay? Excuse me. What I'm saying is, do not say it's untested. It has been tested by a grand jury and found acceptable. Now, having said that, I have absolutely every idea what I'm talking about. Because if it were not so,
Madam Speaker, is he able to speak from there?
excuse me. Go to your spot. Go to your spot. Go to your spot.
There are measures which
Madam-
can be taken
Madam
to bring
Speaker,
the budget debate back into
Yes.
Now, you want to debate the budget or you don't want to debate the budget? Simple as that.
All I'm saying is the document has been tested and found to be probative
Are we debating the budget?
by a grand jury of a court respected by this jurisdiction.
Honorable member for Long Island.
Okay?
Honorable member. All
right.
Honorable member.
Now,
For the past 3 days, and this is going on to
do
the
not
fourth
say
day.
it's untested, because it is tested, sir. Do not lie to the Bahamian people.
Do it. We dare you. Do it.
Okay? You try to do it.
Dare you. Go ahead, do it.
You try to do it.
Honorable member for Long Island.
I just
speak to
don't
the
want
speaker.
the
Speak to the
erroneous
speaker.
statement, Madam Speaker,
Speak to the
to
speaker.
be made in this place that is an untested document. Okay?
Listen.
The grand jury.
I have spoken. I have given my ruling. Listen. The Bahamian people.
It is a tested document
The Bahamian people will be
that is going to be the
apprised.
subject of a
The
trial.
Bahamian people will be apprised as soon as the U.S. makes their finality on whatever it is that they're making. They will be apprised. But right now, let's talk about the budget. How are we going to move this country forward? How are we going to impact the people? Let me hear from you, Long Island. Let me hear what you have for Long Island. That's the home of my mother. I want to hear what's going
Could you
on.
restart my time, sir? Excuse me. I am now starting. Could you restart my time? I will. I'm starting at 3 minutes. Madam Speaker, I wish to begin my contribution by first thanking the fine people of Long Island for electing me to represent them here in this Parliament. I pledge to do all I can to make them proud and use my political office to better Long Island and the lives of its people. I have no doubt, Madam Speaker, that we will do great things together. Although I am here representing one of a small group on the opposition bench, be assured that just like the reputation of the people of Long Island, this unified group of opposition parliamentarians shall be unshakable and a force to be reckoned with in this parliamentary term. I quote 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 8 through 9. We are hard pressed on every side, but not crushed. Perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not abandoned. Struck down, but not destroyed. And at the beginning of the next parliamentary term, be assured that we will be sitting on that other side. And when we reconstitute this place, we will encourage vigorous debate that promote the ideals of a strong democracy. That is what the Bahamian people want, Madam Speaker. After all, this is their house, not yours. Would you like me to repeat that, Madam Speaker? I said this is the people's house and not yours. Madam Speaker, in the world of finance, to use a favored word of the member for Fox Hill, it is axiomatic, an accepted truth. Thank you for acknowledging that I'm right. Thank you, ma'am. It is the people's house. To use a favored word of the member for Fox Hill, it is axiomatic, an accepted truth, that there is no free lunch. When someone gives you large amounts of money, they rarely do so because they like you. And even if they do, they naturally expect a return on their investment. Even if you yourself don't personally pay for it, someone else will have to. There is no such thing as free money, Madam Speaker. Those are the realities of life. Politics goes hand in hand with power. Where there is power, money is never far behind. It is not uncommon for people with lots of money to seek to use the power of politics as a way of making more money or to protect the money that they have. We have examples of this right here in our own country, Madam Speaker. Carlos Jolita, the co-founder of Colombia's notorious Medellin cartel, was allowed to transform Norman's Key into a cocaine transshipment hub, connecting cocaine trafficked from Colombia with traffickers awaiting the cocaine shipments in South Florida. In return for millions in bribes to high-ranking public officials in our country, the Medellin cartel was allowed to blatantly operate an impenetrable foreign outpost right here in our supposedly sovereign country. That criminal organization was treated within our national borders as a sovereign unto itself. Mohammed Harachi, a former prominent Iranian-born permanent resident of the Bahamas, lost his banking license in 2001 and claimed that he personally made $10 million worth of campaign contributions to the PLP during the 2002 campaign in hopes of having his banking license restored.
The chair recognizes none. He has none.
It's a budget debate. Talking about money. Money. Talking about money.
Why don't you sit down and let someone else have an opportunity?
Talking about money.
Budget. What are they spending in
The
Long
mother's
Island?
milk of politics.
Is there $10 million in Long Island?
And you're putting
It's
these
more than
persons'
20
name
million. It's 20 million in Long
on
Island, right? To build the airport.
in the space. I mean,
Deadman's
you
Key
shouldn't
is
be
waiting.
doing that.
Deadman's Key is waiting to hear from you, man. Not talking nonsense.
A former prominent Iranian-born permanent resident of the Bahamas.
No,
We're talking about the budget and money and the influence of money in politics.
honorable member for
And that has
Long
everything to
Island.
do with this budget.
Honorable member for Long Island, you know better.
Oh, Madam Speaker, there's great latitude in budget debate, as you very well know. And we're talking about the money of the, that this government is spending, money that it
That
is
this
receiving.
government is spending. What year was Harachi?
That is immaterial.
No. You said this government. What year was Harachi?
No. I'm making a point.
No.
and I'm
Answer the question. What year was Harachi? You said this government is spending.
I'm making a point, Madam Speaker.
No, you said that this government is spending.
Madam Speaker, will you seek to handcuff the opposition? Is that your position?
I am not handcuffing. I'm asking you.
Allow
but
me to
based on
explain.
what you say that this government is spending. You have
I am-
aligned them with Harachi.
No, I did not. No, I did not.
No,
I am
mercy.
making a point about
On
money.
your feet, you are saying that you're talking about money that this government is spending.
No. I said we're talking about the budget that this government will be, the money of this budget that this government
You're
will be
following up
spending.
because you can't remember because you're ready to
sorry.
lie.
Stop
You're
it.
saying you're talking about money.
I've never
Money.
seen you.
You're saying an untruth. Let me strike live from
How
the
am I-
table.
how am I saying an untruth?
You're saying an untruth. You said you're talking about money that this government is spending.
But isn't that what this budget
That
is
is
about?
what you said.
Isn't that what this budget is about?
But how does that align, Harachi align, with money that this government is
Give me
spending?
an opportunity and you will see.
No, I'm not going to allow that to be on the
No,
record. I'm
Madam
not
Speaker.
going to allow that to be on the
Madam
record.
Speaker.
I am not going to allow that to be on the record. That is
Madam
reckless,
Speaker.
and you are talking about corruption.
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker. How
What
can
are
it be
you
corrupt?
saying?
How can
You
it
stop that.
Excuse me. Hold on. Excuse me, Madam Speaker. How can it be corrupt and we have no campaign finance laws that preclude one from making a contribution of any
But
size?
listen to me. Both,
I'm not talking about corruption.
Both governments have been in. Both governments. So we have to blame both governments, both sides. So you're saying to me.
But I have the
You're
ability to
saying
talk
me,
about it.
no campaign budget. But listen, let me say to you.
You are inserting the word corruption.
You can talk about it, but talk about there's no campaign budget. But refrain from using Harachi, and you're saying that this government is spending the money that they are spending. That is improper, it's incorrect, and I'm striking it from the budget.
No.
Not from the budget.
No.
From the
From
record
the budget
of this
you're
house.
gonna strike it
You're
with the
talking.
budget?
You're talking.
Madam Speaker, please. You're doing a grave disservice to the democracy of this country. Please, Madam
You are
Speaker.
doing a grave disservice.
This
You are
is
doing
most
a
unfair.
grave disservice. You are doing a
Madam
grave
Speaker.
disservice,
Madam
honorable
Speaker,
member. By coming in here and indicating that the government, I am telling you, the lens are watching.
Yes,
you
they
are
are.
saying that
You have not even
you
allowed-
are talking about the money that the government is spending, and you aligned it with Harachi. You are incorrect.
Madam Speaker,
You
do
are
not put words in my
incorrect.
mouth. Hold on, give me a second, Mr. Leader, please. Do not put words in my mouth.
I did not put words in your mouth.
Go ahead, Mr.
That is what you said.
Put words in my mouth.
That is what you said, honorable member. One thing I do is I listen to every member intently, and I turn my body towards you because I give you my full attention, and I can hear what you say because you're only a second away from me. So don't you come in here and try to deceive me and telling me that you did not say it, because I know I heard what you said. Don't play with that, and don't play with me when it comes to my integrity, because I stand on that. The chair recognizes the honorable member for Marco City.
Madam Speaker, just a couple of things, Madam Speaker. One is the member for Long Island is extremely early in his presentation. So if the member for Fox Hill or any other member has a concern about what is being said, at a minimum, he is entitled to set the context for what he is laying out. That's just one, Madam Speaker.
Well, let me, okay, stop at that one, because we can get here too.
What I'm about to say may be helpful, Madam Speaker, to you.
I hear you. But if you are laying your presentation,
Yes.
right, in which I was allowing him, but be careful with the words you select, okay? This honorable member said monies that this government is using and align them with Harachi. I am not going to allow that. That is corruption. I am not going to use it and allow it.
The second thing is, so one, Madam Speaker, he was early in his presentation, and no one in here knew where that presentation was going, save and
Child,
except
I
the
know
member,
where.
right?
Straight out the
Secondly, Madam Speaker, he raised certain names that the member for Fox Hill obviously found offensive.
I'm not concerned about what the member for Fox Hill found offensive.
Madam Speaker.
I am indicating to you what is right and what is wrong, honorable member.
Just give me a moment, Madam
Why are
Speaker.
you aligning it with what Fox Hill has to say? I am speaking.
Madam Speaker, we have sat in here, this is now the third term that I'm in here. We have heard,
Well, I wasn't here with
Madam Speaker, we have heard,
I'm talking about the two I'm presiding.
we have heard the government.
Let me say something, honorable
Madam
member.
Speaker,
The very last time I gave leeway to honorable members in this place,
Madam Speaker.
I am speaking too.
Yeah, but
I was taken advantage of in bigger ways than you ever could know. You know? I was taken advantage of. I've had members stand to their feet telling me no. I have members stood to their feet telling me they are not sitting down. I have members stood to their feet. I had members try to take my mace. You understand? But I am not sitting in this place trying to do that again. I am sticking to the rules and procedures. This is the best way and the safest way to conduct the proceedings of this House. And it could be a new day in here when I will bring the quorum back to this place and this space. I will not allow members to rise to their feet and use unfounded information, and I will not allow members to give misinformation. He said that this government is using the monies from Harachi to say. You said it.
Madam Speaker, I never said that. I never once said that.
You said it. You said it. You said it. Request a copy out you may. I know what I said. I know what I heard, and I know what I said.
I don't want you to have a health event in here, please, please.
A healthy what?
A health event.
Me?
Yes, ma'am.
You could never. 10 of you.
I do
10
not.
of you.
I do not.
You.
Please.
10 just
Please.
like you.
I don't want
Could
you
not
to have
allow-
a health
could
event.
not bring
in
a
here,
health
please.
event.
Please.
Be careful.
Please, please.
10 more like you.
Please.
Boy, listen.
Please, please.
Don't do that.
Please. Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker.
Honorable member.
Madam Speaker.
10 more Rollins. 10 more Rollins. Could not give me a health event.
Madam Speaker.
10 more.
Okay, so
10 more.
I want you to just,
I'm sorry.
if you can.
Okay? You
Please,
bumper
please,
down
yeah.
and watch
Yeah,
yourself.
yes. Madam Speaker.
Don't let that red tie
No.
choke you now.
No.
Don't cause it to cause you to say bad things.
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker.
Not me.
Madam Speaker.
Not this.
You're very worked up. You're very worked up, Madam Speaker. Very.
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we have sat and heard.
Honorable member, let me say something.
Madam Speaker, permit me to
Control
finish. Permit me.
your
No.
members.
Permit all of us should, as the minister said earlier, all of us should comport ourselves in a certain way. So, Madam Speaker,
Health event. Ain't nothing wrong with me, baby.
Madam Speaker, members of the government, Madam Speaker, have historically, Madam Speaker, raised issues about events that the FNM participated in when they were in government. The member for Long Island is entitled to cite historical events that occurred when the PLP was in government. And so, Madam Speaker, to the extent that the member for Fox Hill attempts to limit him bringing historical information into the budget debate is wrong, Madam Speaker.
Honourable member.
So, Madam Speaker,
I did not attempt to limit him. I allowed him to
no, I
come
said
out.
the member for Fox
I
Hill,
allowed him.
Madam
He
Speaker.
talked about-
Unfortunately, you
Will
are
you
agreeing
listen to
with the
me?
member for Fox
He
Hill.
started out with Jolita, right? I allowed him, okay? Then we went to Harachi. It was the statement he made when he said that this government, the monies, he's talking about monies. He wasn't responding to the chair, you know. He was busy responding to Fox Hill because that's where who he's giving his budget debate to. Fox Hill, not to me and not to the public. He's giving it to him. And he said, he's talking about money, and the money that this government is spending. You understand? That's what he said. That's what I heard. And everybody else heard it. So I am striking it from the record. Okay? And so he has to be careful. You can talk about the past, but be careful of the terminology that you use. Because I don't want him to have a heart attack or an event that he's trying to trust on me, because it can't happen. It could take 20 of him. Because you all think he could bother me? It would never happen.
Was the question of relevance. This is the budget debate.
It is.
And so we're talking about the budget. And I am suggesting to all members that if this member varies from, by 1 degree, away from the relevance of the budget, he should be called into account by members.
Honorable members, honorable members, all of us sit and we talk with our constituents. All of us do. And let me tell you something. We have to hear them. They talk about the way they could take care of themselves and their family and how and they need employment and all of these things. All of these things incorporated into our budget. They want to be homeowners. They want to live. You understand? So what you're running on with Joe Leader that some of them don't even know about or would never even don't have a concern about, and what Harachi, who we don't even know if it's still alive in this world, that is that's uncalled for. Let's talk about how we're going to move our constituencies forward. People sent us here, you know. People sent us here to be honorable and to do honorable things and have honorable actions.
Transparency and accountability is important.
But what does that
and
have
so
to
is housing,
do with the
and so is food security.
transparency
Allow the member to make
what
his
is going
presentation,
on now
Madam Speaker.
of the budget?
Allow him to make his presentation.
Joe Leader was what?
Without
30
the
years,
member
40
for
years
Fox
ago?
Hill, Madam Speaker.
40 years ago?
Madam Speaker.
And you're talking about something 40 years old? What does that have to do with what is going on in here today?
Madam Speaker.
At this time?
Madam Speaker, I can't take that one on this. I mean, let me just say this. Do not permit, Madam
Because
Speaker.
I was responding to what
Madam
he said.
Speaker, do not permit the member for Fox Hill to try and straitjacket or direct the speech of any other member. He does not have the authority to do so. Permit the member for Long Island.
No, but I have the authority to do
Madam
so.
Speaker.
I'm telling you, you're still having this conversation with Fox Hill. I am giving a clear indication of what should happen and what is going to happen moving forward. We are debating the budget debate. We're not talking about Joe Leader, and we're not talking about whatever other persons you're talking about. Because that doesn't have anything to do with this particular budget.
That's not so. You haven't heard that. That's not so. Permitted to speak, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I say this with love, please.
You mean you ain't allowed? No.
No, you're doing a disservice to this democracy, a grave disservice.
You like to come here
Grave
about I'm
disservice.
stifling, I'm
Grave
quieting,
disservice.
but let me tell you something.
Grave disservice.
You don't never, ever see the wrong that you do when you rise to your feet. You like to point fingers at the speaker. But let me tell you something. I only open up my mouth in this space when I have to defend this on these hallowed halls. I represent the people of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas and their concerns and what they want to do and what they want to see done. I'm not here to worry about drug dealers and drug actions. Do not let our country be perceived as if we are a drug-related country. That is what you're selling out there. You have to be careful with that. That is all I'm saying.
Then call for the investigation so we can...
You called for the investigation because you
We will do
have
so
a
today.
concern about it.
You and the executive, you and the Prime Minister ought to then call for the investigation. And Madam Speaker, you
Long
must
Island,
be concerned.
you may proceed.
You must be
with
concerned
your
about drug
contribution.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. If you would just allow me to, I will make it very clear the relevance of what I am saying. Mr. Harachi claimed that he personally made $10 million in campaign contributions to the PLP during the 2002 campaign in hopes of having his banking license restored.
Said Mr. Harachi claimed.
To the credit of the first Christian
chair recognizes
administration,
the honourable member for Fox
to
Hill.
the credit of the first
Is the relevance of this to the budget debate?
It has no
What
relevance.
is the relevance of this to the budget debate?
It has no.
What is the
none.
relevance? And I object.
None.
I object to it on the grounds of relevance. It is irrelevant to this debate.
to the credit of the first Christie administration, it did not restore Mr. Harachi's bank license. However, the allegation of the $10 million, notice I said allegation, of the $10 million donation was never, and this is factual, publicly refuted. And from the public tirade that ensued, led by Mr. Harachi, it proved that his campaign donation came with the expectation of a significant reward.
On a point of order, I understand the member has been missing from this chamber for 10 years. But in 10 years, he hasn't learned anything. What is the relevance of this to this debate? What is it? It is irrelevant to this debate. What is allocated for Long Island? When is the airport going to be completed? The people in burnt ground want to know, when is the road going to be repaved? That's what they're listening to hear from their member of parliament. When is the airport going to be finished? Instead, you're talking once upon a time, monkey chewed tobacco and spit white lime.
I'm also striking from the record the name of Mr. Christie, because Mr. Christie is a law-abiding citizen who is now retired into public life, and his name will not be in this place aligned with Arachi and what you're saying. I'm here to protect the name of the innocent.
That's okay, you took offense to it. No problem. Peter Nygaard, the disgraced former fashion designer,
Lord have mercy.
admitted to making huge financial campaign contributions to the PLP, which gave him immense influence in our country.
Is the relevance of this to the debate? What is the relevance to
Honorable member, I will revert back to page 29. Any member who desires to refer in debate in the House in any committee to the character or conduct of any person in his official or public capacity shall deliver to the Speaker written prior notice of the proposed reference. This notice shall be set out the facts on which such reference shall be based and shall be signed by the member giving it. The Speaker may, in his, and I can put in her discretion, permit the reference. I am not permitting that reference, and that's in the public capacity of that individual. Do not put Mr. Nygaard in this space. Do not put his name on the records of this space.
He's a convicted felon.
I don't care.
It is factual that one Peter Nygaard bragged that he personally authored stem cell research legislation that was passed in this House in 2013. I was here when that happened. At that time, Peter Nygaard behaved like he owned the Bahamian government. In 2014, this House passed legislation called the Gaming Act, ignoring the votes of the Bahamian electorate, whom several months prior on January the 28th, 2013, overwhelmingly voted no to the legalization of web shop gaming. The Bahamian people voted no, but it is a matter of fact that Perry Christie, Brave Davis, the member for Cat Island, and the majority of PLP parliamentarians at the time subsequently said, we don't care what you say, and voted yes.
Honorable member, I just asked you to refrain from using Mr. Christie's name in this honorable assembly. Don't do that. Don't do that. Yes.
I did, and I voted no.
We don't know that.
Don't be afraid.
So, August.
So far, we have not.
Money is the mother's milk of politics.
Don't be afraid.
Word about the budget. All about horse dead and cow fat, but nothing about the budget. When are we going to get to the budget?
All the time.
The budget. Budget, man. Sit down, man. You know, I know you're having fun, but look, man, come, just talk about, do me a favor and talk about the budget, man. Just do me a favor. Then I'll stop interrupting you. The moment you start talking about the budget, I'll stop interrupting you. But until then, point of order. Every time you veer off, point of order.
Yeah, we shouldn't be subjected to that. Don't be afraid. Budget.
I am having Mr. Christie's name expunged from the record.
This occasion, or what do you help us understand?
You know what's interesting, and this is very material to this entire debate. As a former member of parliament for Fox Hill, we talk about this legalization for Fox Hill. I said, sorry, former member of parliament for Fort Charlotte. You are so in my head right now that I'm saying Fox Hill. No, because you continuously. No, I will be honest. You are constantly interrupting me, sir. No. But allow me to, man. Fox, allow me to, man.
I only want you to talk about the budget.
Okay.
That's all. You know, not about Hirachi. I don't know who Hirachi is.
Neither do I.
You know, we talk about documents from courts. It was said yesterday that the reason we ought not accept this document is because it originated from a U.S. court. A tested document, but a document from a U.S. court, right? That was said yesterday. I want to remind the Bahamian people, you know, because the argument that's going to be made against me and my colleagues, as you've already started, Madam Speaker, when you referenced Sir Lyndon Pindling earlier today, is that we are not lovers of this country called the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. We are patriotic Bahamians, okay? The reality is this, though. When you say that the courts of this country should take precedence and priority, where was that concern on August 28th of 2006 when Samuel 90 Knowles was spirited away while he had a habeas corpus application before the courts of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas? And his extradition warrant was signed by the Attorney General of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
I urge you to strike all of that. That is rubbish.
That's facts.
Rubbish. And it's got nothing to do with this debate. Again, it's irrelevant. Totally irrelevant.
It's facts.
Remember, I'm just trying to get you to talk for Long Island. I could talk for Long Island. I could though. I could. I go in down there next week, and I could talk for them. Yeah, I could take Renika with me, and say, do you know these people in burnt ground?
The reason that is important is he didn't get the benefit of having cocaine legalized by the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. No, that's a fact. Samuel 90 Knowles did not have the luxury and the good fortune of having the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas legalize cocaine. So, no, hold on. Different rules for different
Chair
folks.
recognizes the honourable member for Fox Hill.
Rails, man. You're going off the rails. I understand this is intense pressure on you. I understand. So, but don't go off the rails. Don't go off the rails. Just stick. No, I hear what you say, but man, please, I am urging you to talk for Long Island, man. Talk for Long Island. See, the member of Parliament for North Andros, he spoke passionately about North Andros, right? Right. He spoke passionately. Fort Charlotte spoke for Fort Charlotte. Yamacraw spoke for Yamacraw, but you have not said a word about Long Island.
20 minutes gone.
Madam Speaker, what Fox Hill is doing is an abuse. Allow the member. It's an abuse.
You want to do that because you want to challenge your leadership. You want to do that. Let's make attention. You guiding them is wrong.
Oh, they scared, boy. Call the chopper. Call the chopper. Call the fire engine. Call the chopper.
Madam Speaker.
Call the fire engine.
Madam Speaker,
Chopper.
I recount this history in this budget debate to establish.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're not sorry. You're happy. You're giggling.
Stuff about Samuel Knowles and all of that is stricken from the record. I want to be sure that that is the case. It is irrelevant to this debate.
I let them finish because there's a lot of things that's being done.
Madam Speaker, I recount this history in this budget debate to establish the overarching theme of my presentation. In borrowing the well-known expression, he who pays the piper calls the tune. As former Prime Minister Hubert Ingram once said, money talks, and big money talks big. The global financial system, which largely underpins this budget exercise, and our nation's banking system is largely controlled by our neighbor to the north. And it literally has the ability to starve our country of its economic lifeblood. That is another reality of life in a country as small as ours, Madam Speaker. We don't get to make the rules. We are compelled, oftentimes grudgingly, to abide by them. The reality of politics dictates that when a country as powerful as the United States talks, we have no choice but to listen. Like my colleagues, I am fiercely loyal to my country. We proudly represent the Bahamas and all Bahamians. However, in representing our people, none of us, I repeat, none of us have the luxury of biting the hand that most effectively feeds them. The U.S. government routinely makes its anti-money laundering stance well known, and through its justice system annually pours billions of dollars into trafficking and prosecuting financial crimes which have any connection to their country. Our country's economy is directly linked to the United States and the US dollar. Consequently, there ought to be no surprise that any money laundering activity taking place within our country or outside of our country would easily have a nexus or connection to the United States. It has never been a secret that gaming is highly vulnerable to the influence of money laundering. It should come as no surprise, then, that within 6 months of our country's failed referendum on gaming, on June the 30th of 2013, to be exact, the Bank of the Bahamas closed the doors to its first and only international branch due to what was reported as U.S. financial regulatory restrictions. This brings me back to this budget and my point about the global financial system and the countries that control it having the means to starve our country of its economic lifeblood. Madam Speaker, the global financial system and organizations like the Financial Action Task Force, FATF, and the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development do not respond favorably to any country that is seen as facilitating or turning a blind eye to the dangers of money laundering. Madam Speaker, it is here that I raise observations and concerns about what has become a favored means of securing funds for the financing of public projects, public-private partnerships. Let me state from the outset that PPPs are not inherently bad financial structures. Indeed, if managed according to transparent and accountable standards, they are creative and effective ways to reduce the financial pressure on governments to get projects done and enable them to be done earlier than they would have if the government had to be responsible for providing the upfront costs to finance the project on its own. Instead, these PPPs allow private monies to be used to fund the upfront costs, while the government and the consumer public incrementally pay back the costs of the construction plus a predetermined rate of interest. The problem we have in the Bahamas, Madam Speaker, is that there is no transparency regarding these PPPs. And if it is argued that there is, it is very, very little. I draw reference to page 31 of the Fiscal Responsibility Council of the Bahamas' Mid-Year Budget Report 2026, where Section 5.8, covering public-private partnerships, reads in part as follows. At present, there is no mechanism for public disclosure of matters such as contracts, dates, duration, whether the project is revenue generating or not, and the nature and extent of any debt obligations associated with PPPs. Consequently, the report reads, based on the information available, the FRC is unable to assess the impact of PPPs on the overall fiscal performance, end of quote. The lack of transparency in this regard is noteworthy because in fiscal year 2025-2026 alone, the government's draft estimates of revenue and expenditure highlighted 5 proposed projects with an estimated total cost of $437 million. That is no small amount of money, Madam Speaker. The value for PPPs in the current fiscal year is pegged at $417 million. By comparison, the value of the government's capital expenditure in this upcoming fiscal year is $415.8 million. So basically, we're spending on capital expenditure, 50% is coming from the government, 50%, actually more than 50%, 51% to be exact, is coming from public-private partnerships. And so you got 2.2% of GDP is what we are spending as a government from the public coffers ourselves to fund capital projects. The global average, what is considered to be the acceptable norm, is 3 to 5% of GDP. We are at 2.2% based on what we're spending from public coffers. When you add in what we are spending on public projects through PPPs, that basically brings it to 4%. So you split the difference. Between 3 and 5%, we have 4% on capital expenditure, half of it coming from public coffers, half of it coming from these PPPs. This amount of spending, if done in the absence of transparency, almost $500 million, is a very attractive vehicle for someone who wants to launder dirty money. Madam Speaker, if you give me a chance, I'll get there. Furthermore, the lack of transparency and accountability leaves the country susceptible to being fleeced by those looking to take advantage of the public treasury. And we don't want that, Fox Hill. I'm sure you don't want that. I refer to Top Notch Builders, a company whose beneficial owner is allegedly Jonathan Eric Gardner, otherwise known as Player, a man previously convicted in the United States for federal narcotics, cocaine, and money laundering offenses. Despite these convictions, just before the 2017 general elections, remember, ladies and gentlemen, Madam Speaker, through you, money, as the member for Fox Hill often says, is the mother's milk of politics. Just before the 2017 general elections, Top Notch Builders secured a PPP contract with the former Christie administration. That is a matter of fact. For the 8 Mile Rock Administrative Complex, recently opened in the West Grand Bahama constituency. And it's, after recently being opened, is now called the Obadiah H. Wilchcomb Administrative Complex, named after our former colleague and former Minister of Tourism, the Honorable Obi Wilchcomb. Sadly, the Christie administration, for reasons that are unknown, allowed the contract to contain a poison pill provision that effectively made the deal unbreakable. Hear me again. A poison pill provision was added to this PPP contract, sight unseen by the Bahamian public, making the contract entirely unbreakable. Because had it been broken by the incoming Minister administration in 2017, the Bahamian people would have paid almost $23 million for a government complex that was never built. Why would a public servant ever agree to that type of poisonous contract, Madam Speaker?
Same reason you all put it in PTC.
Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker. I repeat, no, I'm very, very, very well on my facts. It is an admission, Mr. Leader. It is an admission by the member for Fox Hill. If the 2017 incoming Minister administration had canceled the deal, they would have been obligated to pay the full amount of the contract, principal plus interest. I didn't even add the interest part, that $22 to $23 million figure, without having any building to show for it. The original cost for Top Notch Builders to build the complex was $22.81 million. No small amount. Nothing to sneeze at. Cost overruns added an additional $11 million, and the approximately 8% interest charges added an additional $16.68 million that the Bahamian people are on the hook for a grand total for that government complex in West Grand Bahama, built by Top Notch Builders for a whopping cost of $50.6 million. Follow me, ladies and gentlemen. It is absolutely unthinkable, unbelievable that any government would not have done its due diligence on the principle of Top Notch Builders. and with a principal who has been already convicted of narcotics trafficking by the United States of America. To get $50.6 million in government money means if one, notice I said if, one was so minded or had that amount of money to wash or clean, it would be a very convenient way to do so. Imagine this happening. Now watch me. You get money from an illicit activity. There's three layers of money laundering. There's placement, is one. There's layering, two, right? And before I get into all of the technical jargon about it, the bottom line I want to make is you want to take illicit funds and you want to clean it up. Let's not get too technical here. You want to wash it, like super wash. Washes you, pressures you, cleans you, all that stuff. Well, you clean dirty money. Can you imagine the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, whether wittingly or unwittingly, being a party to such illegal activity, i.e. money laundering? Imagine this happening over and over and over again, Madam Speaker. PPP contract after PPP contract, where a highly questionable private contractor partners with a government operating in the dark. Any government, FNM or PLP. Without proper transparency and accountability. This government, in the speech from the throne, promised the full enactment of the Freedom of Information Act and the very real risk of PPPs being used as a prime vehicle to facilitate money laundering is reason why the Bahamian people deserve to have answers to the following questions. Who in the government knew what and when did they know it? Was the project open to a competitive bidding process? And if not, why not? Which minister of government was responsible for signing off on the terms of the agreement? Madam Speaker, freedom of information is very useful in promoting budgetary transparency and accountability by helping to identify a paper trail, and in doing so, we are able to follow the money. The Bahamian people want to know, and deserve to know, whether Jonathan Eric Gardner made campaign contributions to finance any of the past PLP election campaigns, dating back to at least 2017. And this is important because it would help to explain why a company he is alleged to be a beneficial owner of would receive unusually favorable contractual terms for a public contract. It would also help us to investigate which government ministers had direct involvement in the issuance of that 8 Mile Rock government complex contract to Top Notch Construction. You see, Madam Speaker, this is about the Bahamas. And I agree with you. Our reputation throughout this world, we must jealously guard. But we do not protect our reputation when we try to suppress debate in the House of Assembly. If we are serious about cleaning up our country, then we have to be transparent in dealing with what are clearly weaknesses in our country. And the lack of a Freedom of Information Act, and quite frankly, some of you, even on my side, may not like to hear this. The lack of campaign finance reform, or not even reform because we don't have it. The lack of campaign finance legislation is a major weakness in our country and does make us very susceptible to the risks of money laundering.
Campaign finance reform.
I'm happy to hear my leader say that.
Everyone said it before.
Right? So we find ourselves in this situation because the member for Cat Island, Rumkey, and San Salvador made the former Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, none other than K. Peter Turnquest. He called upon then Prime Minister Hubert Minnis to cause his minister to do the honorable thing. Because it, according to the member for Cat Island, was a very bad look for the Commonwealth of the Bahamas to have a civil matter, no less, A civil matter, not even a criminal matter, you know. A civil matter between two litigants who, business partners. Two private individuals. Thank you, sir. Right? Not a criminal matter as we are dealing with here now. This is a matter that is before the criminal courts of our most important trading partner, the United States of America. Please don't go. All right? Listen.
Two down.
And I want to say this and let it be clear.
Man down.
Even if I am not minded to care for the President of the United States of America, when I represent the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, I put my personal feelings aside and I am obligated and duty-bound to meet with him. That's how important our relationship is with the United States. And yet, we are in here treating our partner, the United States, as though they are insignificant. And they mean nothing to us, their relationship. Let something happen tomorrow where we have a poor relationship with them, and let's see how we survive as a country. I'm a pragmatist, Madam Speaker. I used to be an idealist, but I'm a pragmatist now. And what I'm talking is real talk. Madam Speaker, we had the minister responsible for energy, who herself is very familiar with the PPPs, as she's talked about them a lot in her ministry. One thing I didn't hear her discuss in her contribution is the extent to which the government has borrowings or loans extended to state-owned enterprises, which are off-the-book borrowings. They don't reflect they do not impact the deficit. They actually treated by the government of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas' financial record-keeping as assets, because it basically says, I give the money to BPL, and BPL owes me $50 million, or whatever the amount is. So they use creative accounting, basically, to make the picture of government debt seem a whole lot rosier than it actually is. Right? They want to make the picture look better, because it's in their interest to be able to report that we got a surplus, even though we know we don't have a surplus. All sorts of creditors say they can't get their money. Right? But what they are reporting is that, and we want transparency, what they're reporting is that they don't owe any money, or they have a surplus, they take in more than they spend out. But the accounting that they're using, as creative as they can be, allows them to take monies that we don't even know if the monies are going to be paid back, because they haven't given us any information about the terms of the loan. We don't know how long these monies are loaned for. We don't know what the interest rates are associated with those loans. We don't know anything. Right? And they hide these things off the record books. Right? And I'm talking about in the budget allocations. Okay? So it would be phenomenal if the Minister of Finance could speak to this creative accounting and tell us the terms of these.
The member talking about.
The chair recognizes the honourable member for some answers.
Madam Speaker, we have been using the same method of accounting since I first went into the Ministry of Finance in 2002. Internationally accepted principles, Madam Speaker. And I would say further that many of the individuals that I met in the Ministry of Finance in 2002 are still there. Public servants, the Auditor General's Department, in the Treasury, in the Ministry of Finance, professional people, Madam. So I listened to the member. He speaks of creative accounting. At one point, a few years ago, we tried to get to accrual accounting. The process stalled. We're going to revitalize it. But the very same method of accounting, since I first was introduced to Ministry of Finance in 2002, is the method that has been used, to my understanding, 2002 is now 2026. There's no creative accounting. There's no, I was, maybe even before. But this whole issue of creative accounting, Madam Speaker, it's reckless, because I would say as well, you know, we listen all the time coming from those benches during the last term. I was in that other place listening. All sorts of allegations about what the government is doing and so forth. In the last fiscal year, we've had 2 ratings upgrades by 2 independent international rating agencies. Our books, we have the IMF who comes in and does a deep dive, and they do their report. So this whole issue about creative accounting and hiding, I wish members, I'm sure they will not, Madam Speaker, but I would wish, it would be my greatest joy if they would refrain from this allegation about creative accounting, because it's very irresponsible. But I don't expect it to stop, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, honourable member.
Madam Speaker, I choose to describe it as creative accounting. I didn't say it was illegal, but the minister did not deny that it's actually being done. That's the point. That's the point.
Thank you, honourable member.
Is the minister categorically denying that we have 50% of the funding for our state-owned enterprises coming from loans made by the government to those enterprises without there being any disclosure about the terms of the contracts? Speak to that, Minister. I want you to stand up to that. Having said that, Madam Speaker, as the member for Cat Island, Rumpke, and San Salvador leaves, I do believe it is unfortunate. A Minister of Finance under the FNM was made to do the honorable thing at his request. I just ask to know what is different this time around. And I'll tell you. And I'll tell you. And I'll tell you.
The chair recognizes the honourable member for Cat Island,
First of all,
Rumpke, and San Salvador.
I have much confidence in my minister.
Minister didn't
Right.
have any
I have
bids.
examined, as I said before,
Rid of his debt.
what is the apparent issue. There's none, nothing illegal, nothing immoral, and there's no allegations made against him. You all are creating the allegations. You are creating the allegations. But there was none made against him. You are creating the allegations. First point I make, right? That's the first point I make. In respect to, I'm saddened that you all bring the name of your former deputy prime minister in, because
You didn't have a shame calling his resignation.
no, I didn't. I didn't, because there was a foreign judgment, right, issued in the United States District Court, Western District of Washington, right, that speaks to the conduct on which I base my requests, right? And I'm not gonna, and I'll share it with you later on. Okay? I can tell you, that's the difference. Right? And it's here. I have it here. No, you asked the difference. And you asked me to tell the difference.
You asked for the
I didn't want to say that. Right?
And you saw
That's-
that before you asked his resignation?
I also say there was an action that emanates around the same issues in the Supreme Court of the Bahamas. And there was a judgment given in that as well. That speaks to his conduct as well. I don't want Mr. Turnquist is not here, and I don't wish to. I don't want to.
Honorable member, there's a member on his feet.
Did not want to get into this, right? Because there's no relevance to this.
He's not a member of this house.
Mr. Turnquist is not a member of this house. I don't know why they want to bring his name in, right? Because when I think I'm an honorable person. I'm not going to say anything in this house about anyone unless I have a basis on which to do so. And a basis that is grounded in facts, right? On the basis that there's a contextual connection between the conduct and the consequences to which I believe that conduct should be dealt with. And I didn't want to get into this.
They will embarrass the member.
I don't get it. But and if you want to, I can share the information with Joel. I'm not going to say it publicly here. But it was based on the findings of a court in West.
Sleeping dogs lie.
In
Bring that back and embarrass the former member.
Yeah, in Washington, the District of Washington, and in this court here.
Mr. Prime Minister, what I think is, see, you're leaving. Notice. Stop the time. Stop the time. Hey, stop the time. You know what is so wrong about what just happened? We are now supposed to take at face value what the Prime Minister, member for Carolina Ronquins and Salvador said, holding up a document without even laying it. Hey, hold on. I could give you any document and tell you something on it. That doesn't mean that's what's on it. I could show anybody this. No. Hold on.
Member, address the chair.
Listen. Hey, hold on. Hey, I will say this, Madam Speaker. It's clearly no. Listen, I want to state for the record that I know of no court that has found that the former Deputy Prime Minister, I will call his name as they did earlier, K. Peter Turnquist, was found guilty of anything. All I know, listen, I know of no impediment found by any court that results in him being found to be anything less than honorable. Okay? Having said that, I'm not going to be distracted on this. The reality is this. No, I did. It is okay, according to the other side, to a day after this matter first came to the public's attention, to call for the resignation of Mr. Turnquist. All right? But here it is. All we have found since this matter arose in our public domain is silence. It's silence. And when we talk about the relevance to the budget, everything that has been said by every member on this side in relation to this deals with the finances of this country. So why would it be said that what we are saying is immaterial or irrelevant? It makes no sense, Madam Speaker. Having said that, okay, and just for the record, which is why, Mr. Leader and Madam Speaker, it really is it really is irresponsible for the member for Cat Island, Rumpke, and San Salvador to do what he did. Because the information that we have on this side is that Mr. Turnquest was not a party to the action involving that matter in Washington, D.C. Yes. He was a witness. So if he was a witness in the matter, how is it that you could try to ensnare him in it as though he was somebody who was a defendant?
Receiving by the PM, no less.
Huh? And I mean, that's absolutely, that's dishonest. That's dishonest.
Receiving the House, executive decision.
That's dishonest. Having said that, it is dishonest. And you once again showing that there's two rules. One rule for you and one rule for the other side. What I am saying is the Prime Minister has not shown us that Peter Turnquest was a party to that.
The chair recognizes the honourable member for Pinewood.
Madam Speaker, is the honourable member for Long Island questioning the integrity of the Prime Minister that he would come and provide false information to this House? A man who's been practicing for over 50 years, whose credibility as an attorney has never, ever, ever been in question.
That let the Prime Minister show that Mr. Turnquest was not more than a witness. Excuse me. No. Let him show that he was more than a witness. He can't show that. Anyway, I'll move on. Because clearly the Prime Minister cannot show that he was more than a witness. Anyway.
That's what he said. That's what he said. And I asked him, is he saying the Prime Minister's conduct is dishonest? And he used the word dishonest, D-I-S-H-O-N-E-S-T, dishonest. What we need is some R-E-S-P-E-C-T.
So, Madam Speaker, as I said, the member for Fox Hill says often, money is the mother's milk of politics. What we're trying to get to the bottom of is the connection between public-private partnerships and the potential illicit use of funds to do government projects. On that basis, Madam Speaker, we would like, since the Prime Minister sees fit to refer to a document from the U.S. courts, we'd like to ask the Chair's permission to table a document from one of those same U.S. courts that speaks to a matter that has been tested by a grand jury of the United States of America. And we would like to... You have it? Madam Speaker.
The chair recognizes the honourable member for Yamacraw.
We have had to indulge the deliberate and very intentional disrespect from the other side, standing up and pointing fingers and just taking this debate in all types of directions. If the member after your ruling yesterday, or maybe it's the day before yesterday, they tried to bring it up a few other times, and you dealt with it at that particular time, made it very clear that the matter is before a committee of privilege. We named the committee, and if members are attempting to bring that again, that is the utmost disrespect in this House, not only to yourself as chair of this House, but also to the general public, the rules that govern this place, and the Commonwealth of the Bahamas as a whole is blatant disrespect. And I would hope that the member does not try to go down that road and indulge, cause us to have to indulge that once again in here. Not after we've gone through all that this morning. It was a wasted morning so far.
It's unfortunate that the member for Yamacraw does not understand that the Committee on Privilege deals with the breach to any breach to the privilege of a member of this honorable House. Nowhere in this document is there the name of any member in this House. So it has nothing to do with the business of the Committee on Privilege. Absolutely. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? This has absolutely nowhere, Madam Speaker, nowhere in here.
The document was attached to an affidavit. that you were making about a minister in the House. That document, your side, okay? So to try and shove the document, and that's the reason why it hasn't been laid up to today. And an attempt by Marco City yesterday and 2 days ago, all right? And an attempt by you this morning again, and this morning, right? Attempt by you again is highly disrespectful.
How is it disrespectful?
You're going to do it again? You're going to try it again?
It has nothing to do with the House. It's a House rule on the table.
Once you've made a ruling, the ruling is done. You can't consent from the rule.
That's right.
That's it.
That's right.
So move on. Good, you know.
You're not going to allow this document to be tabled? Okay.
I've already
All right,
ruled on that document.
Having said that, we move on. We understand that you are firm in your position. Thank you. Madam Speaker, it is important for the Bahamian people to know that as good as the government says it has been a steward of this nation's finances, contained in our compendium of bills is a resolution that it amounts to a blank check. It is a blank check resolution, and it reads as follows. Whereas Article 129(1) of the Constitution requires the Minister of Finance, before the end of each financial year, to cause to be prepared annual estimates of revenue and expenditure for public services during the succeeding financial year, which shall be laid before the House of Assembly, and which estimates have been laid before the House of Assembly. And whereas it is not necessary to undertake additional borrowing, given the surplus of revenue over expenditure outlined in the 2026-2027 estimates of revenue and expenditure, which have been laid before the House of Assembly. And whereas by Section 16(2) of the Public Debt Management Act 2021, the Minister is authorized to borrow for the purposes set out under Section 18, which authorization shall include borrowing either within or outside the Bahamas from any person, organization, foreign government, international organization, or foreign organization by either A, entering into government loan agreements, issuing securities, or creating any other debt instrument in local or foreign currency. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this House, 1, authorizes the Minister of Finance to borrow such amounts as may be necessary to refinance or reschedule existing public debt, or to manage the government's cash position in such currency as the Minister may determine. 2, authorizes the Minister to borrow by way of, and it gives loan agreements, loans from multilateral financial institutions, issuing securities, and creating any other debt instrument, subject to the provision that the total sum borrowed by the Minister under the paragraphs above does not exceed the amounts required to refinance or reschedule existing public debt, including to manage the government's cash position and ensure it remains adequate throughout the execution of the budget. Now, the way I read this, Member for St. Barnabas and Minister of Finance, this resolution gives you carte blanche to borrow whatever amount of money you need during the course of the year to meet any shortfalls that you may have, without knowing the extent to which you have any shortfall, not knowing if it be 100 million, 200 million, or 500 million. That is how this resolution reads. You are asking for a blank check. If I'm reading that wrong, Member for St. Barnabas and Minister of Finance, please correct me and let me know.
The chair recognizes the honourable member for St. Barnabas.
I think, through you, Madam Speaker, to the member, the operative phrase there is subject to there's no additional borrowing. So this is for refinancing. There's nothing to be added to the debt. This is to help to manage the cash flow, refinance things like treasury bills, short-term obligations that's come due. The proviso that's in the resolution says, provided there's no additional borrowing, and that is the position, honourable member.
Thank you, honourable member.
Thank you. What I would say, though, is that it does not make that point clear. It seems to give the authorization to the minister to borrow any amount associated with any shortfalls in the budget. And so on that basis, and I'm sure you will return to this House to be able to speak more definitively and authoritatively, on the basis of that, I cannot see how you would come to this House asking for a blank check from members of the opposition. That would not be responsible for us to do, to support you in that effort. Madam Speaker. There you go. Madam, I'd like the member for St. Barnabas to speak to the family, if he can, through you, Madam Speaker. This deals with my constituency. The Family Islands Development Encouragement Amendment Bill 2026. I'd just like clarification. One, does this extend exemption on building materials and motor vessels, including marine vessels, to persons who are investing, whether as residents or business owners, in the Family Islands? I'd like to know because, as it stands now, as you can appreciate, Long Island, the island I represent, one of the bigger concerns that we have is the challenges with accessing capital. The cost of doing business is that much more difficult in the absence of these kinds of concessions. Can you state whether this is 100% concession for Bahamian citizens and permanent residents as the Act reads, or is this for some concessionary or some stimulus for persons who are engaged in a particular type of business activity? Is it residential and commercial? Can you speak to that, Madam Speaker, through you?
The chair recognizes the honourable member for St.
Extending the act for 1 year, Madam Speaker. I will speak to it either at my wrap-up or when the minister concludes. There is, in the existing Family Island Development Act, which includes basically all of the Family Islands, it lays out all of what is included. So basically, it's an extension of all the existing terms in the Family Island Development Encouragement Act. And so no, to answer the question, it's not for one specific project or not directed to benefit one specific project.
Thank you, honourable member.
For residential, for import, for home building, and for businesses, there is absolutely no duty or VAT to be applied to those import items? Is that what this is saying?
No, I will give a detailed answer. I'll give a detailed answer when I respond.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And again, these bills, in reading all of them, they do not, the bottom line is there should be greater, I found in the presentation made by the Minister of Finance, a lot of these bills were not even touched. These resolutions, a lot of what was discussed, a lot of it was unrelated to the compendium of bills. There was an attempt made to gloss over the Immigration Act, the Bahamas Nationality Act, as if to suggest that, we don't appreciate what is being said. The facts of the matter are, if we are to be dealing with the budget, all right, there's absolutely no reason why that bill, of all bills, ought to have been buried beneath all of the information that we received. And there could be no justification for it, other than to give the minister a right that does not exist. And we ask the question, why? Because in these same bills, we have Bahamian second homeowners now who are being charged $1,500 for a husband and wife to live on, for example, Long Island. They contribute to the economy. But if I am someone who is applying to be a permanent resident, not to get a second homeowner permit, so to speak, I only have to pay $500 to get that permanent residence license, and I pay it once. whereas these people who are contributing to the economies of these family islands have to pay that amount annually. And what I'm saying is, if we're trying to develop these family islands, we should be trying to provide incentives as opposed to impediments to the investment. Right? Having said that, Long Island, no, we do want to incentivize, we do. But the act, no, the act says, Madam, member for Engliston, that particular piece of legislation refers to Bahamians and permanent residents, which is why I make the point. So if you're going to give an advantage to permanent residents, the question is, why are you giving them that advantage and disadvantaging others who are also, even to a greater extent, investing in your country? All right? In any event, I just want to wrap up in this way, Madam Speaker. The Long Island has many, many needs. Healthcare being substantial among them. The mailboat service, I await the contribution by the member for Central, Mangrove Key, and South Andros. I give tremendous credit to Captain Jed Monroe and the Island Link for providing yeoman service to the people of Long Island. My only regret and critique, if you will, is that unfortunately we have to share that service with Exuma. So sometimes the items that are due for Long Island some of them may, sorry? No, I'm not, no, I'm saying what I'd like from the the minister responsible for transport, I'd like to see a dedicated service for Long Island, and that can only happen if we increase the mailboat tariff. What we need to do is give these mailboat operators the amount of money that they absolutely need to profitably run these enterprises, because they are the lifeblood of these far-flung islands. The point that I make is the mailboat tariff has not been increased in decades. The last time it happened was under former Minister of Transport, Mr. Tennyson Wells, the uncle of the member for St. James. The uncle for the members of St. James. Why should we in 2026 be having to deal with a lack of adequate service because the government is more interested in spending money on travel parties by members of the government around the world instead of ensuring that monies are actually spent on mailboat services that our citizens of this Commonwealth so desperately need?
The chair recognizes the honourable member for Elizabeth.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just wanted to interject. I served as Minister of Transport in the last Davis administration, and I can confirm that subventions to all of our mailboat carriers were increased as soon as we understood the strain on the businesses as we were coming out of the COVID pandemic. And so their subventions were increased in the last term. There have been some other requests, but increasing the tariff rates, that's a different conversation, because the tariff rates relate to the cost burden on the citizens that they're serving. And so the government decided to increase the subventions that we give to the mailboat as opposed to increasing the tariffs at the time. We were coming out of the COVID pandemic and we did not want to put extra burdens. That's why you wouldn't see an increase across the tariff. Now, a conversation for further subventions is another conversation on ways that finance can support some of the spending that they have with the fuel to transport, the logistics costs. And I'm certain my colleague will take that on, because that was left for us to continue those conversations with our good minister from St. Barnabas. Thank you.
Thank you, honourable member.
I have to refer to the tariff rate because the subventions were inadequate. That's a fact. They're still complaining about it. As a matter of fact, the mailboat operators... No, it's not about... No. If you want to give a subvention, let it be adequate. Otherwise, you have to have subvention and increase in tariff. You have to do both. Now, the next thing. We talk about health care. I'm happy that the minister responsible for health, the member for Tall Pines, promised yesterday that he is going to see to it that the morgue in Dedmanski is constructed. It hasn't been for the last 4+ years, but we are assured by you that that is going to be done as soon as, hopefully sometime within the year. Hopefully sometime within the year. Beyond that, Madam Speaker, I do want to emphasize this. We have a road in Long Island. Thank you to the governing party for seeing to it that this project has been undertaken. All right? Okay. Okay. The point that I make is, it is moving rather slowly. What I'm asking you is, if you could see to it that the project is not impaired by slowness in allowing the contractor to receive what they need in order to bring that project to completion. As it stands right now, Madam Speaker, as it stands right now, this government is celebrating things that are in motion or things that are to come. But what we are standing on, as far as they're concerned, is things that are still very much undone and incomplete. I would say this. You had 4+ years. You said now you're building on progress. And 8 months. Let us hope that over the course of these next 5 years, we won't be met with further excuses as to why they were unable to finish the job. Madam Speaker, I will do all that I can to address the needs of the constituents of Long Island, but I intentionally spoke to something today that is critically important to the work of any government. If we have persons who are benefiting from government in a way that disadvantages the Bahamian people because monies are being directed to people who are being rewarded for what they did to support political parties, clearly then we're not getting money that is properly invested. We're not getting money that's being properly invested because we're being minded to focus on things that have absolutely nothing to do with improving the lives of the Bahamian people. Having said all that, Madam Speaker, I thank you.
That's it.
No, Madam Speaker, I said, to be clear, I said, if the subvention is inadequate to support the operation of these mailboats, then the mailboat tariff, as a combination, you would have to do something to try to support the viability of these mailboat operations. It is not that we want there to be an increase in the tariff, but because the paltry amount that was given in the subvention, notice the minister didn't indicate how much, it was very small. Increase the subvention. The point is, they're still struggling to operate, right? And so we have businesses that rely on them, right? Okay. So we want greater subvention. If the member can bring that to the floor when he speaks, we'll be happy to accept that. Thank you.
The chair recognizes the honourable member for Samanavas.
Just so I can just answer the question now, I had an opportunity to just study the law to make sure I gave the complete answer. The honourable member asked about concessions, and this, for the Family Island Development Encouragement Act, and what it does, it is, so notwithstanding anything to the contrary in the Tariff Act and the Excise Act, building materials imported in those family islands, and all islands are covered under the Act, specified in the schedule, that's all islands, for use in construction in those islands shall be exempt from customs duty and excise duty, and if the exemption is granted to a Bahamian or to a permanent resident, 100% exemption, and if it's to a non-Bahamian, 50%, and then the Act goes on to empower the minister to enact or declare special economic programs for certain family islands. And in that particular circumstance, then there is the possibility of exemption from business license, customs duty, and value-added tax. And the other provision is for machinery imported for the purpose of land clearing or farming or construction in a particular family island. Those may be brought in duty-free. And the other point I wanted to make, Madam President, is just remind the House, Madam Speaker, that at the conclusion of my opening the debate, I did lay the documents related to the Exuma, Eleuthera, and the Cat Island PPP on the table of the House.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The Chair recognizes the Honourable Member for Foxhill.
Madam Speaker, I want to simply remind of the request I'd made about these extraneous matters that were introduced at the start presentation. The rest of the presentation seemed to me fair comment. We can disagree on that, but stuff that was not relevant, which I had made the objections to, I think you have yet to make a ruling on those. So I would just remind you of that. And I will also use this as an opportunity to speak out, shout out for the people of Dunmore's in Long Island, since the Member of Parliament did not speak for them.
Thank you, Honourable Member. In due course, I'll make a ruling on those. The Chair recognizes the Honourable Member for Markle City.
Madam Speaker, we took issue with what was requested in terms of striking statements from the remarks of the member from Long Island. And Madam Speaker, if you are minded to go in that direction, Madam Speaker, we should be very specific for the general public that's watching and listening what those particular matters are, rather than leave that wide open. We do not believe any of it should be struck, but if that is what is being contemplated, we want to hear very specifically the point that has been made by the member for Foxhill.
He has great technology and can produce a transcript, and the Speaker is quite able, without advice, to decide what to strike and not to strike.
Madam Speaker, that would give you a wide berth. If you were to just leave it unspoken what you intend to strike from the record, we would have no way of knowing whether it's one word, one paragraph, or more.
No, sir.
He has to be specific. He has to be references to Mr. Christie. Is that it? Is that what you're referring to? So,
Relevance. Relevance is what I said. And I made specific objections. Those objections are on the record. There is a transcript, which the Speaker, I'm sure, is quite able to get and will make at the appropriate time what her ruling is on the matter. I am sure she is aware of the rule Audi Alterum Partem, so you will have an opportunity to know what she intends to do before the ruling is made.
Thank you, Honourable Member.
Speaker, we're trying to conduct ourselves with a kind of decorum in the House of Assembly, because again, Madam Speaker, we wish for the point to be remembered by the public that we make, and not the manner in which we make it. But this is now getting outrageous, that a member of the House is concerned about historical references in somebody's speech and want those historical references struck on the grounds of relevance, when we have sat here for 4.5 years and now into a new term, and the member is all over the place in almost every presentation. But we tolerate it because we believe that there are many useful elements of what he is saying, and we don't try to straitjacket him as if we are the authority on what he should be saying. So how in the world does he get to have any authority to now direct how somebody else ought to present their presentation? And for the House to participate in that, Madam Speaker, would be, Madam Speaker, tragic to do something like that. He has a right, all of us have a right, to speak on behalf of our people and to choose how we will lay out the statement. He's not an authority on how we ought to speak and what we should say. That makes no sense. We will not tolerate that. He does not have the authority to do it, Madam Speaker. And we'll fight to ensure that as long as we are not gone beyond the pale, he should not have the ability to define what that threshold is. And nor should the House participate in that kind of censorship. That's nonsense.
He's made his submissions. I've made mine. I didn't declare any authority. I just said this is what my view is. He has now said what his view is, and you as the adjudicator will decide. And we are happy to accept whatever your decision is. Humbly so.
Thank you, Honorable Member Asmini. The chair recognizes the Honorable Member for St. James.
Madam Speaker, back to the people's work. There you go. Because that's what I'm here for, Madam Speaker.
Yes. Thank you, Jesus.
Madam Speaker, I rise on behalf of the people of the great constituency of St. James. First, I wish to thank them for placing their trust in me and for giving me the opportunity to serve as their Member of Parliament and as a Minister of State in the Ministry of Health and Wellness. As a resident of St. James, I experience the same hopes, concerns, and daily realities as my constituents. And I share the desire for progress, improved services, and a brighter future for our community. Your belief in my plans and vision made our shared victory possible, and I am deeply grateful for that. To my beautiful wife, Amanda, and to our children, thank you for sharing me with the constituents of St. James and the Bahamas as a whole. To my dedicated team, some who are in the gallery today, your courage to stand beside a first-time candidate running against the deputy leader of the Free National Movement. Your tireless hard work, the early mornings and late nights, these sacrifices sustained our campaign. Your belief in our vision gave me strength and confidence. I never doubted that we would win. I thank you for your steadfast commitment and for making this victory possible. Additionally, I wish to express my sincere gratitude to the member for Cat Island, Rumkey, and St. Salvador, our Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Brave Davis, for believing in me first by giving me the opportunity to stand as a candidate in the election, and then by entrusting me the responsibility to serve in his cabinet. I deeply appreciate his friendship, mentorship, and continued guidance. As I take on these duties, I am honored to work alongside him in service to the people of the Bahamas. Madam Speaker, allow me a brief moment to say a word about professional perspective. I am a lawyer by training, and the Honorable Minister of Health and Wellness, the member for Tall Pines, is a medical doctor. I often say throughout life, every person can benefit from having two professionals in their corner, a doctor and a lawyer. One helps to protect your health and well-being, and the other helps to protect your rights and interests. Madam Speaker, through you, I wish to advise the Bahamian people that they already have a hard-working doctor in the member for Tall Pines. And now they have a diligent lawyer in me. That is correct. Our expertise and experience combined as we worked together alongside dedicated professionals in the health sector. I assure you, Madam Speaker, that healthcare in the Bahamas is in good hands.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Madam Speaker, it is with gratitude and a sense of duty that I rise in the Honorable House to support this year's budget and in support of the vision being advanced by the Ministry of Health and Wellness under the leadership of the Honorable Member for Tall Pines, Dr. Michael Davo. I also take this opportunity to thank the Bahamian people for their confidence that they have placed in this administration to continue building on progress throughout our islands. Above all, I give honor and glory to God for his goodness, guidance, and continued grace. Madam Speaker, all of the campaigning is over. And I think I should repeat that, Madam Speaker. All of the campaigning is over. The general election is done. And my people of St. James expect me to get to work. My mandate is clear: to serve my constituents and to do the business of the people.
Yes, sir.
To translate promises into action, to advance projects that improve daily life, and to continue building on the progress we have begun.
Yes, sir.
With humility and determination, I now turn from gratitude to service,
Progress.
and to commit to delivering results for St. James and for the entirety of the Bahamas. Madam Speaker, yesterday the Minister of Health and Wellness spoke about the theme, from seeds planted to a garden in full bloom. As a new Minister of State within the ministry, I was not present during the first term when many of the reforms, investments, and policy initiatives now taking shape were first conceived and implemented. However, since assuming this office and becoming acquainted with the dedicated professionals throughout the healthcare sector, I have gained a deep appreciation for the work that has been undertaken since the year 2021. I've seen evidence of thoughtful planning, infrastructure development, legislative reform, workforce investments, and modernization initiatives. Madam Speaker, the seeds have been planted, and the ground has been made ready to sustain growth and expansion in the health care arena. The task before us during the second term is to build upon the foundation and ensure that the benefits of these reforms are increasingly experienced by the Bahamian people that we all serve in this House.
Sir.
Madam Speaker, the areas I will address today focus on the structures that support the continued growth and development of our healthcare system. I will speak about the establishment of a dedicated legal unit within the Ministry of Health and Wellness, the continued advancement of legislative reform, the creation of a public healthcare operations task force, and the expansion of digital health systems throughout the rollout of electronic medical records and enhanced information sharing. These initiatives may not always be the most visible aspects of healthcare. However, they are essential components of a modern healthcare system. They improve governance, strengthen accountability, support efficiency, and help ensure that healthcare services are delivered in a manner that meets the needs of the Bahamian people. Madam Speaker, I will first touch on legal reform in healthcare. Madam Speaker, healthcare administrations have become increasingly complex. Decisions made within the healthcare sector involve questions related to patients' rights, professional regulations, privacy protection, licensing requirements, contractual obligations, compliance standards, investigations, and emerging medical technologies. For many years, legal support for the Ministry of Health and Wellness has largely been provided through the Public Hospitals Authority, as we better know as the PHA, the Office of the Attorney General, and the Department of Legal Affairs. While these arrangements have served an important purpose, the continued growth and modernization of the ministry requires dedicated internal legal capacity. This is why the ministry will establish a legal unit within its organizational structure during this period, Madam Speaker. The creation of a dedicated legal unit will deliver tangible benefits to patients, healthcare workers, and the public purse. With in-house legal expertise, the ministry will be able to respond more quickly to legal and regulatory issues, reduce delays in contract negotiations, strengthen procurement processes, and ensure that policy and program designs are legally sound from the outset. Faster turnaround on legal advice means projects move forward without costly holdups. Patient protections are implemented more swiftly, and the ministry can proactively manage risk rather than react to it. Madam Speaker, importantly, establishing this unit will also ease the burden on the Office of the Attorney General and on other agencies that have historically absorbed much of the ministry's legal work. By handling routine and specialized healthcare legal matters internally, including licensing matters, administrative actions, contract drafting, regulatory implementing, and responses to clinical governance issues, the ministry will free up scarce Attorney General resources to focus on cross-government priorities and complex litigation. Other ministries will similarly benefit when health-related legal queries can be resolved more efficiently within my ministry, reducing interagency backlogs and improving overall government responsiveness. Finally, the legal unit will strengthen collaboration with the Office of the Attorney General by providing better prepared files, clearer legal questions, and a more coordinated approach to matters that do require external counsel. This partnership will improve value for taxpayers through reduced external legal costs, faster resolutions of disputes, and more effective implementation of health reforms that directly benefit Bahamians. Madam Speaker, moving on to building a legislative framework for modern healthcare. Madam Speaker, during the first term of this administration, substantial progress was made in advancing healthcare legislation. Important reforms were introduced through the Mental Health Act, 2022, my apologies, the Nurses and Midwives Act, 2023, the Cannabis Act, 2024, Longevity Therapies Act, 2024, the Dental Professions Act, 2025, the Health Promotion and Wellness Act, 2025, the National Health Insurance Specified Chronic Diseases Act, 2025. Madam Speaker, all of these reforms strengthened the legal framework governing healthcare and created new opportunities to improve service delivery, accountability, and patient protection. As we move into this new term, the ministry intends to further bring components of these acts into force and to continue advancing legislation that address matters of growing importance to the Bahamian public. The Bahamian people can now look forward to the member for Tall Pines and I presenting a program of bills designed to strengthen and modernize the legislative framework governing healthcare. Together, we will lay legislation that advances patient protections, updates professional regulation, enhances public health preparedness, and supports innovation in care delivery, ensuring that our laws keep pace with changing needs and deliver tangible benefits for all Bahamians alike. Madam Speaker, moving right along to patients' rights. Madam Speaker, when individuals seek medical care, they often do so during moments of great uncertainty, fear, or vulnerability. During these moments, people deserve to be treated with dignity, compassion, and respect. Clients deserve access to clear information regarding their treatment options, and their privacy should be protected, and they should participate in decisions affecting their care. Madam Speaker, the proposed Patients' Rights Bill that the member of Tall Pines would have spoken about yesterday seeks to establish a clearer framework governing the relationship between patients and healthcare providers. The legislation will support principles relating to informed consent, confidentiality, access to information, professional conduct, and the respectful treatment of individuals receiving care. This initiative is intended to strengthen confidence in the healthcare system while promoting accountability and mutual understanding between patients and healthcare professionals. Madam Speaker, we move along to the health rights for the elderly, which is an important topic within the Bahamas. Madam Speaker, the 2022 Census on Population and Housing confirmed what many families have already observed, and that is, Bahamians are living longer lives. This is something we should celebrate. However, at the same time, we must examine whether existing systems adequately protect the rights and well-being of older persons. Many Bahamian families care for elderly parents, grandparents, and relatives. These responsibilities often involve important decisions related to healthcare access, long-term care, dignity, safety, and the protection from abuse, negligence, and abandonment. The ministry therefore intends to continue work on legislation that addresses health rights for older persons. This legislation will seek to strengthen protections, establish clearer standards, and promote the respect for the dignity and well-being of elderly Bahamians. The manner in which a nation cares for its elderly citizens reflects its values and priorities. It is therefore important that we continue building a framework that supports and protects those who have contributed so much to our country's development. Madam Speaker, another topical issue within our country is the funeral services industry's regulations. Madam Speaker, another area receiving considerable public attention is the funeral service industry. The service provided by funeral professionals are among the most sensitive and important services offered within any society. Families place tremendous trust in these professionals during periods of grief and loss. The ministry intends to advance legislation to regulate the funeral service industry. The proposed framework will address licensing requirements, professional standards, operational requirements, consumer protections, and accountability measures. The object is to ensure that families receive services that meet clear standards of professionalism while preserving the dignity and respect that should accompany end-of-life care and funeral services. Public Health Operations Task Force, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the reality is that healthcare has many branches involving many, many moving parts. Healthcare delivery involves a wide network of facilities, program agencies, and professionals working together to serve the public. Patients do not experience healthcare as separate departments or institutions. They experience healthcare as one single system. For that reason, coordination across the public sector remains essential. The ministry therefore intends to establish a Public Health Operations Task Force to examine how the various components of the healthcare system function together and identify opportunities for improvement. The task force will review operational relationships among the Ministry of Health and Wellness, the Department of Public Health, the Princess Margaret Hospital, and the Rand Memorial Hospital, the Supplies Management Agency, and other relevant agencies. It will assess workflows, identify bottlenecks and duplications of work, and recommend practical solutions with the goal of creating a better, improved, more coordinated public health care system across all levels of care. The task force recommendations will target service gaps, streamline referrals, shorten wait times, enhance supply chain reliability, and improve crisis preparedness, all of which will raise the quality, efficiency, and accountability of care. In short, the task force will help create a more responsive, integrated, and resilient healthcare system that delivers better outcomes for patients, supports frontline workers, and ensures taxpayers receive greater value for every dollar invested in their health. Madam Speaker, I will be moving on to the digitalization of healthcare. Madam Speaker, the Minister of Health and Wellness spoke yesterday about the continued rollout of electronic medical records. Yes. And I wish to build upon that important initiative. For decades, healthcare providers relied heavily upon paper-based records. While those systems serve their purpose, they also created challenges related to accessibility, information sharing, and continuity of care. Many Bahamians have experienced situations where they are required to repeat their medical history multiple times, or where delays occurred because information was not readily available. The Electronic Medical Records Program is designed to address those challenges. The ministry's goal is to continue implementation across the Department of Public Health facilities during the budget cycle while advancing integration with key public healthcare institutions. This process will be supported through staff training, infrastructure improvements, and ongoing system developments. The strengthening of the health information exchange will also remain a priority. This platform will also allow authorized healthcare providers to securely access patient information when required, improving communication and coordination throughout the healthcare system. The ultimate goal is to create a healthcare environment where information follows the patient. Clinical decisions are supported by timely access to data, and services are delivered more effectively. These initiatives also support the broader objectives outlined with the National Health Strategy and evolving National Health Insurance Framework. Both place significant emphasis on prevention, early detection, health promotion, primary health care services, and improved access to care. These digitalization efforts are firmly aligned with the government's broader mandate to modernize public services and to ease the way business is conducted across the Bahamas. By moving core health records and information systems online, we reduce paperwork, shorten process times, and streamline interactions between citizens. Healthcare providers and government agencies make it simpler for families to access care, for businesses to navigate health-related regulatory requirements. Madam Speaker, the initiatives I have outlined today involve governance structures, legislation operational reviews, and information systems. These topics may appear administrative in nature, but their purpose is people-centered and intended to protect patients, support families, assist healthcare workers, and strengthen public confidence in our healthcare system. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, it is often said that politicians are out of touch with reality and do not fully understand the challenges faced by ordinary citizens, particularly when it comes to healthcare. My experience, Madam Speaker, tells me otherwise, and I believe that perception deserves careful reconsideration. Madam Speaker, the truth is that many elected officials live in the very community that they serve. We understand the importance of having a healthcare system that is accessible, responsive, and reliable, because our parents, spouses, relatives, friends, and neighbors depend on it as well. Those of us entrusted with public office accepted the responsibility of serving as policymakers because we believe in making a positive difference in the lives of others. We carry the duty of listening, responding, and working to improve the system upon which our people depend. We are stewards of the resources God has granted to this country, and our duty is to ensure those resources are widely used, responsibly, and in a manner that advances the well-being of all Bahamians alike. Madam Speaker, as the Ministry of Health and Wellness continue to work on moving from seeds planted to a garden full in bloom, we recognize that healthy growth requires strong structures, sound governance, and careful stewardship. The reforms I have discussed today are designed to strengthen those structures and support the continued advancement of healthcare throughout the Bahamas.
Yes, sir.
I am honored to support the Minister of Health and Wellness as we build upon progress.
Yes, sir.
I extend gratitude to the hardworking healthcare professionals and public officers who continue to serve our people across the islands with dedication and commitment. I also thank the Bahamian people for granting me the opportunity to contribute to this important work. Madam Speaker, St. James supports this budget.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The Chair recognizes the Honourable Member for Tall Pines.
Much, and thank you, St. James, for an excellent contribution. Madam Speaker, we move for suspension until 3 o'clock this afternoon, where the member for Southern Central Lucha will take this floor.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Is there a seconder? Thank you. You have an able assistant right there.
I trained him well.
It has been moved and seconded that the business of this House be suspended until 3 p.m. As many are in favor, will remain seated. Those opposed will stand. The motion is carried. The business of this House stands suspended until 3 p.m.